going on, trading card game players? Figs here with Figs Forum, bringing you another deck profile. So I've gotten a chance to jump right into the new format. I've been playing Tearlaments, of course, because, you know, it mills and we're able to play through the graveyard. So I've gone ahead and I've combined Tearlaments with Phantom Knights as well as the Danger package. So I've been actually playing this deck for about a week or so now, probably about 2 weeks since I've been able to pick up all the cards for the deck. And yeah, I've had a blast playing the deck. It's been super fun. Mix between RNG and just consistency is obviously the main issues the deck has, of course, because we are playing an engine that does require the graveyard. So it does make it kind of difficult for us to be able to, you know, set that up as well as we'd like to. Because of course we're trying to hit 2 different engines. We're trying to hit the Phantom Knights. And then of course we're also trying to hit the Tearlaments. But I think I've had pretty good success. I've been having a great time playing the deck at my locals. It's been very fun to play. It's obviously very competitive because the Tearlament engine is very strong. You know, you have access to a lot of great tools in the extra deck. And yeah, it's just been really fun to play. So I want to go ahead and share this with you guys. I've taken it to locals. I've gone undefeated at locals, X1 at locals. I've also played in a VIP qualifier. I didn't do too well. I kind of got cheesed in some of my losses. And unfortunately, my draws weren't the best in one of my game 3s. So I wasn't able to do as well as I wanted to. But I've, again, been having a lot of fun with the deck, so I wanted to showcase it here for you guys, so you guys can see that, you know, you're able to obviously, you know, take some of the newer decks in the format, and you are able to modify them, you know, of course, so we can play some of the cards that we love, like the Phantom Knights. So, of course, this is my take or my transformation on the deck. If you guys have any, you know, questions or any concerns or anything that you want to talk about in the comment section below, definitely feel free to do so. Yeah, so that we can, you know, fine tune the deck and make it better, as we always do. So yeah, this is my take or my, you know, transformation on the deck. So let's get over it. So as I said, it is Phantom Knights with the Tearlament and Danger. So I'll go over the Phantom Knight first. We've got 1 Shade Brigandine, 2 Fogblade. These are the only traps that we're playing. I didn't want to play any more than this. I feel like this is just enough. We are looking to mill cards. We want to be able to see 1 to at least search and 1 to at least mill to revive. That way we're able to, you know, obviously get as much resources out of the Phantom Knight engine as possible. We are playing the 1 Shade because double 4s are actually pretty important. And when we use Shade Brigandine with the Time Thief Redoer, obviously this gives us the ability to be able to interact with our opponent without actually having to steal a trap card off the top of their deck. I did at one point actually overlay a Shireen or Shirin, however you say it, the Tearlament. I was able to overlay that with the Shade Brigandine and actually able to hit a spell off my opponent's deck. So the Time Thief Redoer got maximum value. It was really great, but this is all we played for the trap, so just the 3. Then we also played gloves at 2, 2 Torn Scale, 2 Silent Boots, and 1 Cloak. So this is all we played for the Phantom Knight monsters. I didn't want to play more than what we're playing for the Phantom Knight monsters right now, because of course, as I said, we're trying to make this as consistent as possible in terms of what we're hitting. So the reason why we're playing, of course, the 2 gloves is because we want to make sure that obviously this becomes any other name possible. So obviously if we're playing 2, you know, Torn Scale or 2 Boots or 1 Cloak, it kind of acts as like a third or a second, you know, obviously when you're playing these different ratios, it allows us to be able to technically see more names without actually seeing more names, which is very nice. Because if we do hit like something like this, where we're hitting a gloves and a Torn Scale, this can turn into a cloak or into a boots, depending on whatever we need based on the situation. So I think this ratio was fine. The only issue that I can honestly say that I've had playing the deck is that, you know, you find yourself having maybe too many normal summons. I did run across actually two different games, unfortunately just 2, like a gloves in hand with a Torn Scale. And then I had like double Rhino Heart and a Shut All monster. So sometimes your hands can get a little wonky. If my opponent had an Ash, I probably wouldn't even play the game. I might have actually scooped. But I was able to actually play the game and actually go on from there. So, but yeah, this is the lineup I felt like was best for the Phantom Knight engine, and it worked out really well. Obviously, there's a lot of great resources we have access to with level 3s, and I'll show you guys some of what we're doing here in a bit. And then let's get into the tier cards. We're playing 1 of the trap. I think this is the best trap out of all of them. This is the one that has actually overperformed for me. Because of course, a lot of these matchups, they do require them to have monsters face up on the field, specific ones, not necessarily fusions, but Splight, any other, you know, synchro deck, they need tuners, they need access to whatever it is that they have on the board. So a lot of times, if you're able to put it face down, they're not able to use it. They're not able to resolve effects. They're not even able to play the game, especially against Splight. I mean, if you're able to hit their normal summon and they had a normal summon that was just, you know, something that didn't have an effect, or they didn't want to trigger effect because they were afraid of, you know, another ability, then we're able to just put it face down. They're not able to summon their Splight monsters unless they have starter. Same thing with anything like Punk. You're able to, you know, hit their Zeamin off of an E-Telly. It forces them to have to commit to a normal summon, or it forces them to have to go in with the Foxy Tune to then bring out again another Zeaman, which can stop them from actually playing, because of course if they don't have another name, they have to search Deer Note. So it makes the hands very awkward and complicated. But yeah, this card overperformed for me. So I did play it as one. Obviously in a normal build, I would play more than one. I'm actually not a fan of the continuous trap. I do like it. It is nice to be able to send your guys, but unfortunately negating monster effects isn't always the best thing when we've already got access to Draco's Stapelia. So we went with 1. 3 of the field card, definitely necessary. The field card is utterly insane. This card just makes this deck crazy. Having access to a boost as well as destruction. Targeting destruction is just utterly insane. So we went with those 4 for the traps and spells. Monsters are obviously pretty standard. We went with 3 of everything. My favorite one is definitely this one, because we're able to send any monster in our hand to the graveyard, which means we're able to resolve any effects that we need to on any of our Shaddolls, any of our Tearlaments. And then of course it gives us a free body, and then we're able to obviously, normal summon this, special summon this off a kit, normal summon this, special this off a kit. And then Havas, of course, is amazing too, because it allows us to get that turn 0 window, which I actually did today at my locals, I think twice. I was able to actually do a turn 0 window, and it won me both of those games. So yeah, pretty insane. But yep, this is the standard setup or a lineup for the Tearlaments as well. And then we've got the Danger package. So we went with 3 Nessie and 1 Jackalope and 1 Tsukinoko. Hope I pronounced that correctly. But yeah, this is the package that we went with. We stuck with the level 3s instead of the level 4s. I'm not a fan of Mothman's effect. The whole discard draw one for both players isn't exactly ideal, because of course other decks do play effects and they do play graveyard abilities. And for some reason, I always find myself, having my opponent hit my dangers whenever I activate their abilities. So it can be a little rough, but I think they're really great, especially for this type of deck when everything in your hand you pretty much want to send to the graveyard. You're able to obviously get a lot of value out of hitting something other than a danger. And then of course you're able to just plus off of it. So I definitely like the level 3s, because of course, as I said, we are playing quite a few level 3s. And a couple of level 3s in the extra deck that do actually matter. We played 1 Hedgehog and 1 Beast. So this is kind of the spice that I was playing for Shaddolls. Normally we'd play like 2 Beasts, 1 Beast, 1 Squamata. Even a Beast or a Dragon if you wanted to have an out to like back row. But I went with Hedgehog. The reason why I'm playing Hedgehog is because I can send it off a Cherubini. So we're able to obviously make Cherubini, send this to the graveyard with Cherubini, and now we have access to our Shaddol window whenever we need it. So a lot of times I would do my combo, end on Appaloosa. I'd send it to the graveyard with Cherubini before making Appaloosa. And then during my opponent's turn with the Meta Noise, the trap, I'm able to make Winda during their turn. So on their first normal summon or whatever summon they do, I'm able to just flip that, put it face down, make Winda, and now they have to play through Winda on the rest of my board. So this is actually very, very good. And then of course, if we have Havas and we open up one of these and we happen to hit a tier element, we're making the turn 0 Winda. Now let's get into the spells. We played a bunch of 1-ups, of course, all good 1-ups, all necessary 1-ups. We went with the Reinforcement of the Army. That searches any of our Phantom Knights as well as Rhino Heart. So obviously that is a definite in the deck. Instant Fusion allows us to have access to Kit. I am only playing Kit as the only target for this. I'm not playing Millennium Eyes because this extra deck is super, super tight. So this is the only target for Kit, but it is a reliable one because, of course, if we don't have to use an effect to actually create Kit, then we're able to get as much value as we can out of it. 1 Terraforming, which is really nice. One other thing about this as well, if I am able to open this up and don't see a Shaddol, I am able to make Shaddol Winda. Since I am able to make Cherubini, I can make Winda underneath the Cherubini arrow. And then I do have an indestructible window that will stay on my opponent's turn due to the protection effect from Cherubini under the Instant Fusion. Terraforming is obviously for the field card because we want to see that card. It's utterly insane in this deck. Again, just maximum value. We've got the Foolish Burial, sends everything, literally everything in our deck, just has so much value being in the grave. So that's important. And then Call by the Grave is obviously a great one-of we want access to. Yeah, so that's that. And then our going second cards, we were just playing Dark Ruler No More. We're not playing any hand traps, of course, because, I'm not a big fan of hand traps. Plus, I don't believe this deck actually cares about hand traps. A lot of times we're breaking boards, which is very, very easy with this deck because we are trying to resolve our tier element abilities as much as possible. Most of the time, our opponents focus on the tier element cards, and they're trying to stop us from fusion summoning and resolving the mill abilities. So if we are able to get some mills off and we hit Phantom Knight names, then, we pretty much have multiple engines to work with. And there's many times where I've actually, I OTK'd most of my opponents going second because, again, they're not able to really deal with the field card, multiple pops, Rhino Heart, and the field card popping cards have access to Break Sword, Unicorn, Access Code. We've got so much board breaking potential, and having access to this just makes it that much easier because we're able to break their board and then end on Winda or Meta Noise and then just be able to just, stop them from playing the game with Winda. So that was the main deck. I believe it's 41, should be 41, but that's all we played in the main board. So let's get into the extra deck. Standard as well, we're playing 2 kit, 1 heart. I know a lot of lists, like some of the normal lists, are actually bumping this up to 2. I agree with it heavily. I've run across a couple situations where my opponent actually banished it with Mirror Jade, or they call by, and it does hurt. I mean, this card is obviously very insane in this deck. A lot of times my play lines, I'm always going into this first, and then I'm making whatever Phantom Knight things I need to do, because if they end up nibbing, then I'm able to just bring this back and use his ability to make a Dracostapelia. So yeah, these obviously are essential. These are very important. This is our mill, and gets us to our mill 11 in most situations. So that's the Tearlaments fusions we're playing. We're playing 2 Dracostapelia and 1 Winda. That's it for our fusions, just these 6. We don't have a lot of room, as I said, but these are the best ones to play. I went with 2 Dracostapelia because they are able to recycle themselves. Winda can be recycled for Dracostapelia as well, so that's why we're only playing 1 Winda. But yeah, I mean, this card's utterly insane in just about every matchup. There's a lot of things that I learned about it because I obviously never played fusions before. I played fusions before in the past, but just not as of more recent in these formats. So I'm not too familiar with how Dracostapelia worked, but this card is utterly insane. Turning things level 1, even in the Spite matchup, is huge. If they commit to a normal summon and they activate the ability, you're able to negate it and make it a level 1. So they have to have starter in order to keep playing the game. And then on top of that, you know, you're able to negate effects for multiple turns. So say during my turn, I negated something and they weren't able to, I wasn't able to clear the card. They're still not able to use the ability because the Predaplant counter on it does not allow them to use the ability. So that's been very huge, and obviously a lot of matchups, especially since, you know, cards that sit on the board, you know, just remain negated, and then they have to find a way to crash over this. And if I have the field card, I mean, it's over 3,000, so it's just utterly huge, which is really great. So again, those are the 6 fusions we played. We'll go over the XYZs that I played. I played these 4. We went with Time Thief Redoer, obviously a staple in this deck. It resolves all of our abilities. It allows us to do what we need to do in order to play the game during our opponent's turn. As I said, it's very great with Shade Burgundy because we are able to put the trap underneath, as well as get access to a spell or a monster, and then be able to obviously you know, resolve multiple abilities and get as much value out of him. Levier is actually really good in this deck. You're obviously able to play around really important cards like DD Crow. So if we're actually trying to activate abilities in the graveyard and our opponent has access to DD Crow, they try to banish our Moril, they try to banish our Rhino Heart, whatever we're trying to activate that we haven't used their on-summon effects, Levier allows us to recycle them. So we're able to bring back the Rhino Heart, get a dump, we're able to bring back Moril, mill 3. You know, so we get a lot of value actually off of Levier in those situations. And then of course he is Aqua, so we're able to recycle him as well for the fusions. So, you know, plenty of times I've made this first going through my Phantom line because I try to activate an ability and they DD Crowed. I'd make this, bring it back, use its ability. Then I would link it away into IP Masquerena, and then I would actually fuse it, putting it back in my extra deck and then reusing it. Because the Phantom Knights, when you get like Torrent Scales and Silent Boots on the board, makes a free level 3 into Levier, and then once they're in the graveyard, you're able to pretty much do it again and make another level 3. So you can either make another Levier, or you can actually just go into Cherubini, whatever you need. We also played the Break Sword because, of course, this gives us access to additional popping. It also allows us to play through a lot of the back row hate, such as like Summon Limit. It allows us to play through Goes and Match, Rivalry of the Warlords, things like that. So we're never really getting caught out by too much of those gimmicky floodgates because, you know, we're obviously same type, same attributes. And then Zeus, of course, is just great when you're playing Links. I mean, of course, any deck that pretty much plays Dark Ruler No More, I mean, you have access to Zeus. It's just free. Like, you just Dark Ruler No More your opponent's board, summon whatever, you know, your biggest XYZ, and then go ahead and swing, and then make Zeus and clear their board. So, I mean, that's usually the best way you go about doing it. But yep, those are the XYZs that we played. And we played actually a pretty big link package as well. So we've got one Cherubini. As I said, it's mainly in here for setting up the Shaddoll Hedgehog. But of course, we are playing the Phantom Knight engine. So that obviously gives us access to more guys in order for us to set up the Phantom Knights. So, you know, he is an honorary Phantom Knight monster in this case, because pretty much every deck that I've played Phantom Knights in, he's always in there. So we went with one Cherubini, one IP Masquerena. I felt like this is very detrimental because we're pairing that up with the Unicorn, Nightmare Unicorn. It's great because obviously IP Masquerena gives us that additional interaction during our opponent's turn. Unfortunately, it is a discard to cost, so we're not able to trigger any of our Tearlaments abilities, but we are able to trigger any of our dangers. We're able to also send our Phantom Knight monsters to the graveyard if need be. So it does have small applications there. But mainly it's just for that additional interruption during our opponent's turn. We're really looking to just maximize on our ability to play during our opponent's turn as much as possible. So IP Masquerena actually gets us there. And then also if we need a way of being able to get Winda off of our board, so if we turn 0 Winda, and we want to play, and we have no way of getting Winda off the board, this is great for getting rid of Winda. So is the Dark Charmer as well. I did want to play that. I do play it in my normal build for Tearlaments, but unfortunately, I don't have room in it for here, and IP shines a lot bigger than the Dark Charmer because we're playing Phantom Knights, and a lot of our cards float. So this is a great card to make. Most of the time I make these two together, and we have obviously the onboard protection, and then we're able to just either make Nightmare Unicorn or Apple, depending on the situation. Or we just, you know, if we don't want to make this and we've already made this, we can just go straight into Appaloosa. And most of the time I either make it with 3 or 4 counters. There's actually a few times I made it with 4, just because we actually do get a lot of bodies. If our opponent really has no interactions and they didn't draw any hand traps, we actually get a lot of bodies on the board. And I've ended on boards where I've had like Appaloosa with Rhinoheart and Dracostapelia with a set Meta Noise and a Fogblade. And it's like, you know, how are you going to play the game when, you know, you can Dark Ruler no more, but now you still have to play through a potential window with a Fogblade that's going to protect it or protect it from being attacked. So it's a lot to deal with. And then of course we're playing Access Code. It's our win con. A lot of people like to play Dimensional Barrier, especially at our locals, as one of the side cards for Tearlaments, and this just pretty much allows us to be able to actually deal with it. I actually do play this in my normal build as well. My lineup for my normal build for Tearlaments, when I play it, is actually I play the Adventure package in it for my more competitive build for Tearlaments, and I actually do use this similar lineup. I think the only difference is I play the Dark Charmer and the Water Charmer, but I do still play these because I do like having access to the interaction still during my opponent's turn. And I also play Backjack in the main board at 2. So I do like that a lot, having that interaction of being able to like pitch it, look at the top 3, and then decide if I can banish it to, you know, obviously play during my opponent's turn. But yeah, that's the extra deck for this. I want to go over the sideboard as well. I feel like it's important, especially for this kind of deck, since we're playing multiple engines, for you guys to understand the sideboard as well. So we have 3 Lava Golem. This is obviously a great going second card, especially against the Splight matchup. We have 3 Evenly. This is also very good against going against the Tearlament matchup. I wouldn't cite it in so much against Splight. I mean, we're already playing Dark Ruler no more, so if we want to do Dark Ruler into Evenly match, it's not the worst. It does get rid of resources that they just can't get back, so it is nice. But these are just some going second cards that have been really great and doing very well. I mean, you can use Evenly even against the back row decks, which is really nice. These are my going first cards. So we've got Summon Limit and Judgment. So I decided to go with these because Summon Limit kind of acts like another window. It gives you only 2 summons, which is really huge. Most decks don't need double normal summons unless you're playing Flu. So yeah, this pretty much locks you down in the same respect. And then Solemn Judgment obviously does very similar in terms of being able to protect your board and stopping your opponent from resolving things like Dark Ruler no more. It's mainly in here for Evenly Match. This deck actually gets hurt really badly by Evenly Match, unfortunately. So yeah, this is our best out to stopping Evenly Matched, in my opinion. And it's just great in order to be able to stop your opponent if they need to from playing the game as well, since it pretty much stops everything. This is where our back row hate. I was trying Cosmic Cyclone and Twin Twister, but unfortunately they don't applicate too well with this deck. I think Galaxy Cyclone was the best option because, of course, if we mill it, it's still accessible to pop Mystic Mine or any other floodgates that get flipped up on us. Also, you can use it to pop something on the field. Then next turn, you know, obviously you get to banish it to pop something face up. Harpy's Feather Duster is Harpy's Feather Duster, and Red Reboot obviously is Red Reboot. So those are pretty self-explanatory in terms of dealing with a lot of cards our opponents has. But yeah, I enjoy the deck very much. Again, as I said, the only issue is there's a lot of RNG that's involved with the deck. Since we are playing the dangers, we're trying to hit good cards out of our hand. Sometimes they hit dangers, and then we're having to constantly resolve their effects and not really getting anywhere. And as I said, the only issue with the deck is just consistency and RNG. I mean, I feel like my build is very consistent. Maybe some ratios can be changed a little bit. So as I said, in the comment section below, if you guys have any suggestions or any ideas, we can work on transforming the deck. Otherwise, I definitely do like the deck a lot. Definitely give it a try. Let me know what you guys think. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below and we can go over it.